Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Speedrun Insider. My name is CJitsallGewd. I want to thank everybody, as I do at every show, top of every show, because I really mean it. Thanks to everybody for supporting the show. You like, you share, you tell your friends about us, and that's really what matters. It helps us make more shows, and the show's metrics look good. So if you've been doing it, keep doing it. If you haven't, start doing it. I think that's as clear as I can be. I really appreciate all your support, and it helps us keep making interesting episodes regardless of consideration for various algorithms. So let's focus on telling the best stories, and the way we can keep doing that is by you guys doing your part. So it's very much appreciated. Thank you so much. And my guest for today: Double toil and trouble, fire burn, and cauldron bugdom to bubble. Cool it with fancy pants adventure, then my guest is firm and good. If anyone got that Hamlet reference, I applaud you. I hope my guest today gets it, because it's Eye of Newt. How are you doing today?
Hey CJ, I love it. Thank you very, very much. Hamlet, that's a deep dive. I did some theater in high school, actually. We never read Hamlet, but we did read a bunch of other Shakespeare. I love it.
My high school was one of those award-chasing high school theater programs.
Oh, yeah?
So we did Sweeney Todd. We had a great male lead. So every from in my year, we had a great male lead. So unsurprisingly, every year there was some really great male part. Like, they did Beauty and the Beast one year. He was some kind of like screaming singer for like a band, and he could just like reach the back of the auditorium.
Yes.
It was amazing.
Always love to have those.
Fiddler.
Oh, classic.
Yeah, I love me some Fiddler, and that was my freshman year. They did Fiddler. I helped paint a set for that.
Oh, very nice. You know,
the one they burned.
Oh, doing set was like one of my favorite things. Being involved in theater. I did more of like the acting stuff when I was younger, but then later on in high school, I did more tech crew and behind the scenes stuff. And I really, really liked that.
Yeah, I think I didn't participate too much in theater. I was more of a newspaper sort of person. So I wrote about all of the various plays and the productions. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it was really good. I mean, they did a really good job. They had this thing for Sweeney Todd. Obviously, the main set piece. We're talking about theater production. Here we go. The main thing that they had to engineer, and they got like the engineering class to do this, was they needed a thing that they could shove people into, because it was like a 2-tier set, and then they needed something to slide down. Because it's like the lady making the mincemeat meat pies. Yeah. So, he would kill them, and then they would go in the slide. Mm-hmm. Right? And they'd be in the oven. So, the first night of the performance, I was in the audience, and it was like, we had this huge auditorium, this like huge, like, great, we're spoiled in hindsight, but it was this really, really big room. And I'm right behind this like orchestra pit in the middle of the thing. And I realized that one of the kids who gets killed in the middle of the movie is stuck. He's stuck in this apparatus. He's
no.
So there's like a little place after you would slide down where you could like, basically like put on a black hoodie and then walk off, right?
Yeah.
They would like, they had a part where they would like dim the light, put a spotlight down so you could like walk off and no one would care. I was looking for him because I think that stuff is cool, how they like sneak people off. Mm-hmm. And he never came out. And one of the things that we had mentioned was, hey, it's gonna be really hot in there. It's like, because we didn't make any air holes or any ventilation. I thought He sweat through his clothes. He slept through the costume. It was like a million degrees in there. And then they had this like fake fire thing, which it wasn't real, obviously, but it put off heat from the back because it had like this like battery that got hot. So he's like in this room and this battery kept going on, like putting off all this heat. So it was unfortunate, but I didn't realize I was in the presence of a fellow thespian, at least an aficionado or an appreciation. So
yes, an appreciation for sure. I haven't gone to or taken part in as much theater lately as I would like, but I've been around.
Yeah, right before the pandemic, or maybe a year before, I went and saw Mean Girls on Broadway.
Oh, heck yeah.
That was a really fun afternoon.
Yeah, I'm sure. There, I've never been to Broadway. I've never been to New York, unfortunately. But thankfully, the theater presence in the Twin Cities area of Minnesota is pretty prominent. So I've been to a lot of cool shows down here.
That's great. I knew somebody for a number of years who worked for the I don't know if it was the city or the county, but it was part of the they would work in like the ticket take office. They were like a city or county employee in Minnesota. So.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I feel like we could keep this conversation.
We could.
We really could. I mean, listen. Taylor Louderman in Mean Girls. Mwah, chef's kiss.
Oh.
She's amazing. It was most of the original cast. Okay, now we have to move on. No one cares about Mean Girls as much as I do.
True.
So we're obviously here to talk about speed games. That's games GAEMZZ. I think it's fitting. GDQ just ended yesterday.
Yes, it did. And I am giving it my all right now. I was up until about 4:00 in the morning, my time. Didn't get a ton of sleep last night, but I am caffeinated up and ready to go.
You did ask me before the show if this was going to be on webcam. I let you know that no, it's a audio only show. And
good.
Your reply was good, so you can stay in your pajamas, which is the best part of recording Speedrun Insider.
Exactly.
You can do it in your pajamas.
Exactly.
Yes. Take that, good mythical morning.
Gotta be comfy, gotta be relaxed, right?
Yeah, big comfy. Let's take it back to the beginning.
Yeah, of course.
Little nudie. Little Newt.
Little Newt, that's me.
Little Newt playing video games as a little kiddo. What games were you playing? Where does it start for you?
Oh God. If we want to go like way back, my parents.
Going it way back.
We're going way back. My parents didn't really get me any game consoles until I was a little bit older. So when I was like a really young kid, I had a computer, and it was like one of those old iMac computers. Because my dad is huge into Apple and everything. He's a little upset that I have a PC now, but it's just so much better. It is. So I had like this iMac, and there were some games that came loaded on it. But my dad also got me some emulators, like an SNES emulator and a Game Boy emulator. So I played bunch of SNES games and Game Boy games. I believe I played Chrono Trigger for the first time on there. Why this emulator had a Chrono Trigger ROM when I was like 5 years old, I have no idea. But that's one of the games that I played the most around that time because it was beautiful, and I thought it was beautiful even then. And now it's like super nostalgic for me.
Right. So Chrono Trigger is like that's I'll tell you what, I've never heard someone tell me that like their first one of their first games was Chrono Trigger. So
yeah,
it's a first.
I know, right? It's pretty wild that was one of my. It's like Chrono Trigger and Link's Awakening were two that I played a lot that I had like on this old emulator. But I guess The couple other games that we had were some of those old like Pangea software games that came preloaded on old Mac computers. We're talking like OS 9 and stuff, where you'd have games like Nanosaur, Cro-Mag Rally, and Bugdom, the original Bugdom. And I played those games a lot. Probably more than I should have.
Hey, listen, I mean, I've never heard of any of them, but I mean,
My god. They're interesting games. They weren't super widely distributed for Windows at the time. So these are games that I hear a lot of people are like, "Oh, I played them at school and stuff," because their school would have like iMac computers. And they'd just be like preloaded on there. But yeah, those are a couple of the games that I used to play a lot of.
So when do you make the I'm hearing the presence of the iMac, right? All right,
Mhm.
but when does the jump to consoles sort of come in? Is it like later, as in like you get caught up with like GameCube, or is it later like where like you're on the 360? Like where do you kind of make the crossovers?
Yeah, I had several friends that had GameCubes when I was, like however old I was then, 6, 7, 8 years old. But my parents didn't let me have a console of my own until I was 9, and they got me a Game Boy Advanced. I was like the first console, like real console not like a real console. It was a handheld, but the first, thing that I could buy games for on my
Sure.
own, really. And the first actual console I got was a Wii when I was, I don't know, 11, 12. It's like 2008, I think I got it.
Ooh, that's like right at the beginning of the Wii.
It was.
I remember the Wii. I really didn't. I don't think I ever. I mean, if you ask me if I have one, there's some broken pile of white Wii garbage over here that I can't get to work. So I guess at some point we did in fact own a Wii, but man, I miss the whole Wii craze. There's a whole bunch of Wii games that we didn't have. I went PlayStation, I guess. That's when I broke to the PlayStation side of things.
Uh-huh. No,
And, go ahead.
I definitely stuck with Nintendo consoles growing up, and still, honestly, aside from PC, I don't have any other game consoles. We've got my Wii and unfortunately a Wii U.
No plans to get like a Switch? You're not gonna get up to date? No plans?
I'd love to. Honestly, I've been trying to get a Switch since 2017, like as soon as they came out. But at that point in time, I was a broke college student, and now I'm a broke post-grad, so I just haven't had the resources to put into a Switch yet.
Sure. Well, we'll have to set up the Newt Switch Fund. It'll be the new donation goal on the Newt stream. Just keep an eye out for it.
Yeah.
Wow. So, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So how do you make your way? How do you navigate from the casual game playing like scene into speedrunning? Like, what is that bridge, and where do you start speedrunning stuff?
Yeah, exactly. Let's see. So I guess to tie into things a little bit more, back when I was in middle school, this has been like 2007 to 2010, some like that range, just as like an estimate of years. I played a lot of Flash games at school. It's when Flash games were like really popping off, and they
Rest
were
in
huge.
peace, Flash games.
Yeah, I was like on Newgrounds, on Congregate, on Armor Games, a bunch of sites like that. Just hanging out and playing Flash games with friends at school when we should have been like doing homework. Probably would have been a better use of our time, but playing a lot of Flash games, and one that I played a ton at that point in time was Fancy Pants Adventures World 2. It was like one of my favorite games to go to. One of my favorite games to play. And that game had a little like in-game timer on it. So around that time, a couple friends of mine and I would like do like little races with each other to see who could beat it first, who could have like the fastest time in that game. Which was super cool and really fun. But we sort of fell out of that out of middle school, you know. Fall out with some friends and you make new friends and everything like that. So I wasn't hanging around like that same group of kids very much. But then I want to say like it was my junior year of high school. I had a study hall. And again, instead of studying, I would spend my time, you know, pulling up some Flash game sites, see what wasn't banned on the school servers anymore. And sure enough, old tried and true Fancy Pants World 2 was still there. And that's when I pulled it up and I started trying to get that little in-game timer down as much as I could. And it was around that time that I discovered GDQ, and I blew my mind. Like 2013, I think, was when I saw GDQ for the first time, and I was like, wait, other people do this too? I'm not just some like weird kid trying to be the fastest, have the fastest time in Fancy Pants World 2. And that's really what opened the doors for me to speedrunning.
Wow. So like your junior year of high school?
Yeah, my junior year of high school.
You know, you were talking about your schools, like what's not blocked on like the servers. And I figured this out in my freshman year. And I never told anybody until the last day of my senior year. I told the head of the IT department because he was.
Oh my god!
It was before. It was during when the secure proxy was rolling out, and any new website was definitely like had a secure proxy.
Yeah.
But most of them didn't had basically had both. So you could type in HTTP or HTTPS, and if it was a big enough website, both versions worked and browsers didn't block it.
Okay.
So the way that the server was set up in my school, it blocked only websites. It only blocked the domain if it didn't have the secure proxy.
Oh. Interesting.
So you could go to any website you wanted to, Facebook, MySpace, YouTube. You could do you could go to Pornhub. You could literally do anything at school as long as you typed in HTTPS.
Browse safely, right?
I like told everybody about it, and I was like, I told everyone. I only told them, and I said, so if you tell anyone, I'll know it was you. And then by the end of it, I like went to the IT guy and I said, yeah, you didn't design this very well. I'm not very technically literate either, so I was just like, this is how you do it. Or I wasn't then anyway, so I was like, this is how you get around your system you spend a lot of time protecting.
Oh no.
He kind of deserved it. He was kind of an asshole.
Oof. Oh god.
If you're listening to this, Mr. Peterson. Yeah.
Shots fired at Mr. Peterson. Take that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, okay. So, when do you make the jump? Everybody, I feel like this is true for so many people. So many people start doing attempts, and then there's this long period of time where they're not doing them in front of anybody. Right? They're like offline PBs, you know, like they're just doing their own thing. When does that start for you?
As it was pretty much as soon as I saw that there were actual people like that were involved in speedrunning. I think the first I saw was like VODs from GDQ 2013. I immediately took to local recording my PB attempts for the game. God, I could pull it up here real quick just to see when that first thing, because I still have it like on an old YouTube channel that I like don't really use anymore. But oh god, let's see. I think I have the first Fancy Pants run recorded somewhere. It was either Fancy Pants or Bugdom 2 was like the first thing that you know what? Now that I think about it, the first one that I recorded was Bugdom 2. Because I saw like all these people doing speed runs, and I was like, okay, I wanna be a part of this. And I thought really hard about like what game I wanted to run. And I landed on Bugdom 2 because it was this game that I had played a lot when I was younger. And I was just like really interested in, bringing that up. I checked at the time Speed Demos Archive, and nobody had submitted any runs for it before. It wasn't mentioned in the forums at all. There was like nothing online that I could find about speedrunning this game, or like anybody like recording a faster than casual playthrough of the game. You'd find like a couple Let's Plays here and there of people that are like, whoa, this is such an old game. I want to try it or whatever, play it again now that it's 2012, 2013, and everybody's making a Let's Play YouTube channel.
The craze.
Yeah, right? Oh my god. Well, let's not even get into how I had some like Minecraft Let's Plays back in the day.
Oh, don't even feel bad. I did way worse.
Oh yeah, it's it's how it goes. It's where everybody like got their start. And
Right?
yeah, fast forward to September of 2013. That's when I recorded my first. I have it like in the title, first single segment Bugdom 2 speedrun, because I was going by like the lingo of Speed Demos Archive at the time, which split up like single segment and segmented speedruns. Oh god, yeah. Wild to think that was like 8 years ago already. That was my first leap into speedrunning then.
Awesome. I want to take a little bit of a detour from this sort of line of questioning.
Go for it.
And I want to talk to you about, you said you found some VODs from AGDQ 2013.
Yes.
So, and also at the top of the show, we talked about how you stayed up till 4 a.m. to see the ending. Which
yes.
I do when I'm there, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It never... I don't know, and I mean this in a very nice way. I don't mean this to be negative. It had never occurred to me to stay up to watch the end of the stream from home. Like, I had watched GDQs at home.
Mm-hmm.
It had never occurred to me to do that. So, I want to hear what GDQ means to you.
To me, GDQ has been a place where I've met like some of my best friends in speedrunning. A lot of the people within the community that I'm good friends with now, I met being at GDQs, I met in person. So these last couple events, SGDQ 2020 and AGDQ 2021, being online only events, there's been a group of us that have hung out and watched these games together. We'd all jump into Discord chats and talk about, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Just goof around and watch some speedruns. And that's really been like a huge part of it. But there's also always been this huge draw to me about like being able to take this weird niche hobby of ours. We're just sitting down and playing video games as quickly as we possibly can over and over and over again. Looks pretty weird on the outside, but taking that and using it to raise, in the case of GDQ, millions and millions of dollars for charity and like actually making a difference in the world is like the coolest thing in the world. Mm-hmm. And that like, it blows my mind every single time that that's like a possibility. It's super, super cool. And that's what GDQ is to me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's a great answer.
Thank
The
you.
way that I worded it, my question, I was worried. I was like, man, it kind of sounded harsh. Like, it's not what I meant at all.
No, not at all. I got you.
Hmm. All right. So, speaking of events,
Yes.
you are also involved with Midwest Speedfest,
Midwest Speed Fest.
which I will
Yep.
say we haven't talked about too much about. We talked about NASA on this program. We've talked about Calithon.
Yep.
I think that we definitely have talked about GDQ. I mean, if you throw something at the wall, you're bound to hit GDQ at some point.
Exactly.
Maybe I think Nate. I think maybe Conception talked to me about Midwest Speed Fest.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All right, so how did you get caught up in the production side of an event?
Yeah. So story time. Get ready.
I'm comfy.
Buckle up. Good. Everybody at home too. Make sure that you're comfy. Grab a cup of tea. Grab a cup of hot chocolate. Get ready for this. The year is 2017. I had just attended my first GDQ that I'd been to in person. I'd been wanting to go to them since I first saw them back in 2013, 2014. 2017 was the first time that I could actually make that happen. Being from Minnesota, I was super excited to see when they moved GDQ to Minnesota. I literally had a friend of mine text me in the middle of the night while I was in college, sleeping in my bunk. I pull up my phone and he said oh my gosh, GDQ is coming to Minneapolis. I was like, what? No way. Went to my first SGDQ in 2017, had a great time, met a lot of really cool people, and was really interested in more speedrun marathons like that. And I knew at the time, because I was still pretty heavily involved in Speed Demos Archive. There was a sub forum for other marathons. And after SGDQ, I sort of had a craving to see what other speedrun events were happening. And I pull it up and I happened to see a little advertisement for an event called Midfall Speedball 2017 in Minneapolis, Minnesota, as an offshoot of Midwest Speed Fest. And I was like, whoa, cool. It's a local speedrunning event. So I submitted a couple games to it, got both of those games in. It was Bugdom 2 and Marble Blast Gold. A little tidbit there. And I went, and since it was a little offshoot of theirs, there were not a ton of people there. It was 15 of us total in the back room of this Level Up Games store in Minneapolis. And we were raising money for charity at the time. We ended up raising just a couple $100. That was my first experience with that crew, and it was awesome and really wholesome. They were a great group of people. So fast forward, I am kind of involved 2018 and 2019, taking part in Midwest Speed Fest events, a couple of them. I was graduating college at the time, so I wasn't able to attend every event that they were holding at that point in time.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it was around the time that we had Midwest Speed Fest 2019. I was attending it. That's the big flagship event. And I just started asking hey, any of you need help with anything? Let me know and I'll, carry stuff from one room to the next or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, and I helped out with getting stuff set up and making sure runners were ready to go during that event. And the next Midfall Speedball that year, in the fall of 2019, I went to the house that they were recording or streaming it from. It was one of the staff members' houses, and just hung out and helped run the stream there. And after that, I sort of found myself like a part of the staff team for Midwest Speed Fest. And they officially took me on staff at the beginning of 2020, like shortly after AGDQ. And I've been helping organize every event since. Technically, my titles are head photographer and production manager for Midwest Speed Fest. Yeah.
As someone that has organized exactly one event, I will say that titles mean nothing, and if you are available to me, you are available to me.
Exactly. That is very true.
That's like, oh, what do we need to do now? And I have not done anything in person, but I've been conspicuously planning.
Ooh.
I have grand aspirations. I do want to talk about more about.
Go for it.
I'm like, you know, I don't want to talk about SStat right away. I want to ask you. I want to tell you an anecdote.
Okay.
About me.
Okay.
About me scheduling the event, Speed Doxathon, and I watched a submission. From someone who may or may not be in this call right now. And I was like, dope. Also, it was perfect because it was exactly the time that I needed to fill, and your availability was perfect. And I was like, amazing. And I couldn't get a hold of you. And I was like, wonk, wonk. This is no good.
How did that happen?
I couldn't DM you. I was like trying to find like a mutual server. It didn't happen.
Oh no. Yeah.
I was like, does anyone know? I went into I don't remember. I went to a few servers and I was like, has anyone ever heard of Eye of Newt? And they were like, well, what do they speedrun? I was like, super fancy pants. And they were like, no, we've never heard of Eye of Newt. I was like, oh, God damn. All right. Well, we were close. We were almost there. So I expect your submission for SStat 2 along with the best number to reach you at the next time that we do SStat. So
yeah, of course. Oh God, that's hilarious.
I've been holding that in, but it feels good to get it out. You know, this is a talky podcast. You know, we have to get.
It's very cathartic.
So, you know, it is so funny how, you know, we get assimilated into projects,
right?
You know, it's like, I don't know how it is for you, but I have so many ideas, and then I have this thing where I will like tell other people, and then I hear what they have to say, and once in a while, someone will like be like, I usually don't do any of them. Like I have this idea for a show, and I'll write it down on the back of a napkin, like a docu-series.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it'd be really cool if someone made this show. And then my friends will be like, yeah, that would be a really cool idea for a show. All right, moving on. Let me move on to the next thing. So I had been pitching a charity marathon like once a month for months, like forever. I wanted to do a Speed Dox-a-thon. But we were going to name, this is important, we were going to name it something else because that's a really awful name. It's a really bad, like, a Speed Dox-a-thon is like the most like two-head name you could come up with by asking what should you name your Speed Dox marathon. That's one.
Right.
And second of all, what happens all the time is that I name things and then no one comes up with anything better. So we've been like planning around an event with the idea of we're going to change the name. And then we never came up with a better name.
That's hard to do. To be fair, that's hard to do.
Oh, it's really hard. So I was like, damn. I was like, God, all right. So now this is the name of the event, right? And I said to myself, I'm just going to go until someone tells me to stop. And no one told me to stop. Like, I got all the way to Clint Stevens before someone told me no. which is like insane. Like everybody was so helpful. Everyone just wanted an event to happen. Everybody wanted a thing. So ever since then, and it's a little harder because of the pandemic, but I've been like looking at venues and just the same mantra in mind, like no one's told me to stop. No one's told me no, this is a bad idea. So, I have
Sometimes
high
you just gotta do it.
aspirations.
Yeah.
I'm like, wouldn't it be so cool to sell out a hotel in New York City? I think that'd be damn cool. So, stay tuned. If you want
Stay tuned.
Stat 2, taking Manhattan.
It would give me an excuse to travel to New York for the first time.
There you go. I was thinking of like the Muppets Take Manhattan, but I totally butchered the implementation of that joke. So
Yeah. I totally understand that. I have, aside from Midwest Speed Fest, I've been involved in like, you're hanging out in a stream or something and just talking, having conversations with people, and somebody throws out an idea. And recently in my channel, that was somebody mentioned like, oh, Speedrun Marathon, but it's all games that you would consider to be like cozy, like really cute, wholesome video games
that's a
or
cool
whatever.
idea.
Yeah. And now it's going to be a marathon.
Oh, what is really?
Yeah, Cozython, of course. Talking about that
God.
speedrunning naming conventions, right?
Oh man. We're the worst.
Right? Totally. That is going to be happening in March, I think. So this episode might be out by then. Marathon should happen. I'm loosely involved with it because, again, I'm spending a lot of time on Midwest Speed Fest and making sure that our events there are really good. So that's where like most of my time is going. But I have a couple of friends that picked up this Cozython idea that I've been helping out with a little bit. And you just got to go with it, At the end of the day, you're raising money for charity, so it's never a loss in my eyes.
It's definitely one of these things where you kind of like, I've always felt like you just go with it, right?
Mhm.
As long as you possibly can, you should go with it, because it will kind of like, that's where I think some people, and this isn't an accusation about any specific one person, but I feel like some people live like very like safely.
Yeah.
And they don't ever like explore or just take the path less traveled by, and it's like, hey, why don't we make our own marathon? And the people that end up with stories to tell, right?
Mhm.
They don't. They're the ones that have stories to tell are the people that said yes to the weird questions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Saying yes is hard to do. Like, it takes practice. It definitely takes practice.
Yeah, for sure. And there is something to be said about like, overextending yourself. Like, hypothetically, for example, doing 13 interviews in a weekend. Like, no one would ever do that, of course. But, no one hates themselves that much. But, honestly, it's just like, that's when you get that's when you get stories to tell. That's when you get projects that are worth working on.
Exactly.
And I know everybody kind of wants to jump in at the part when it is a GDQ, right?
Mhm.
Right? When it's like, it's already a thing. But, man, it's like, there's only one. As cool as it is that there's offshoots and other marathons that do good, it's like, there's still only one. There's only one marathon that raises over $1 million.
Well, yeah. For now.
For now.
I
admire your optimism.
Hey, I mean, I'm coming off of 2020 with Midwest Speed Fest, which was a massive year of like growth for our little speedrun marathon in Minnesota. We're not even the most popular speedrun marathon in Minnesota, which I find hilarious.
There's an old joke there I'm going to tell you in a minute, but go ahead.
Yeah. But it was, it was super weird. At our most recent event, Mid-Fall Speedball 2020, we had TGH run Classic Zelda Trilogy for us.
Yes.
And afterwards, we were just like talking in one of the little off channels, and he said, yeah, it's really cool to see that like Midwest Speed Fest is a household name now. And we're like, what? People are talking about us? Weird. But we've had like moments in and around the speedrunning community where people like know of Midwest Speed Fest now, and that's like been really cool to see the growth that we've had as an event, but also like for charity too, because that's what it's all about at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree for sure. The joke that I was going to say before was I work at a car dealership, and there's a saying that as like a joke, you couldn't even sell your own mother, right? Like the idea of like you couldn't sell your mom a car.
Yeah.
And we had somebody used to work for us, and his mom came in, and after 8 hours, he didn't sell her a car, and it was on a Saturday. It was like our biggest day of the week.
God.
And so then, on the way out the door, as a joke, we had somebody like talk to her, and we basically sold her on a different car that she never drove that day. So we joked with that guy until he quit. That he quit for another reason, but we joked with that guy forever that he wasn't even his mom's favorite salesperson at his job.
Oh my God! Yeah.
So the not even the number one speed event in Mississippi. God help me, Minnesota. You might be the most popular speed event in Mississippi. Who knows?
Who knows?
But I that resonates with me too. We obviously we make speed docs, and when we first started making videos, every comment on our videos was discount summoning salt.
Oh yeah,
that was like
people are gonna be like that.
And now they're not really. They've and it's like, oh, I really want to see you grow. Someone wrote something to the effect of like, I'm so glad that you guys are getting the recognition you deserve. And I was like, I guess so. I mean,
yeah,
it's such a weird thing. Like you were talking about,
it is.
People are talking about us. I'm like, does anyone know what Speed Docs is? I said I
Speed
can
Docs is cool. I remember watching the 5 hot dogs video when it came out.
You know what's so funny? You said that we showed that off for the first time. That was the only like live premiere we ever did. We showed it off to a bunch of our friends in the hotel room at SGDQ 2019.
Yeah.
It was really cool. Yeah. Man, someone commented on that the other day that we should have edited out the do. And I was like, "Oh no, you don't
understand."
Yeah.
It's classic Perestroike PV.
Yeah. You watch a lot of Perestroike?
Any
Perestroike?
A little bit, yeah. I met Perestroike at SGDQ 2017. And I guess had a few mutual friends with him that I met through GDQs in the past. And be like Connor, Konasumi, that crew, I guess.
Polly Pork Roll, legend.
Polly Pork Roll.
Yeah. He I'll give him some free publicity because he was on the podcast a while ago.
I listened to a little bit of that episode, yeah.
He immediately blasts the didgeridoo, but his album by Yorkland at My Underground Ocean, really great. It's really so great, good. Especially if you're looking for like music to listen to now. Like it's just really, this is like really like good vibes, man.
It is.
And, yeah, I'm talking to all you out there in the podcast land. Go listen to that. That's like a super chill album. I bought it. Support him on Bandcamp. I don't know why we're promoting Paul, but here we go.
I am all for promoting Perestroike here. We love some Perestroike in this household. If I look back behind me, poking out of my closet is my Monkey Greed sweater. So love to see it.
Love to see it. Oh man. So, all right, talk to me about we stopped earlier and we switched to the events, and I want to go back to like the speedrun stuff. Like, I want to I want to condense this period a little bit, but I know that like today is the 10th. Spoiler, we're recording early. It's the 10th of January, and you decreed today that today is Super Fancy Pants Day.
It is. It from now on to the rest of history. Today will be International Fancy Pants Day. January 10th just has an energy to it, I guess. 1 year ago today is when I had my run at AGDQ for Super Fancy Pants Adventure, which was a blast, a lot of fun. Ended up breaking the world record on the GDQ stage, which was amazing. That is unparalleled in like how that felt. So that was like, wow, pretty neat that you can do that and show that off. And just today, one of our runners, and keep in mind, Fancy Pants is a pretty small community. There's only like 4 or 5 or 6 of us that are actively running it right now. We had one runner PB and get just about almost exactly the same time that my world record run 1 year ago was, which is really cool. But then we also had another runner break the world record today.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so 1 year apart, 2 world records, same day. It's meant to be.
Well, when y'all make the world record history of Fancy Pants Adventure, it'll be easy to remember what day it is.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. January 10th.
There's a Mean Girls joke in there somewhere, but I'm going to leave it alone. Okay. So, what does the future hold for Newt and Newt fans?
Ooh, well,
Friends of Newt, as it were.
Friends of Newt. That is the $1 million question, isn't it? I sometimes have a hard time like sitting down and saying like, okay, where am I going to be a month from now? Where am I going to be 6 months from now? I'm going to be a year from now. It's, if you asked me 1 year ago today where I'd be right now, I wouldn't have
an airport.
Exactly, right? I wish. But right now, in terms of speedrunning, I've been learning Celeste lately. I played it casually for the first time earlier this year, and since then have met a bunch of incredibly wonderful people in the Celeste community. Shout outs to all of those peeps. A really great group of people, honestly, super helpful, and they've been very encouraging to actually like pick up and learn the speed run for it. So right now I've been practicing that a little bit. I am interested in doing an Undertale TPE glitchless run at some point in time. Yeah, mostly because my friend Helix has started running that, and they love that game. I adore that game as well, and I think it'd be fun to do TPE glitchless. It's a really satisfying category, I guess. So speedrunning, that's sort of what that looks like. More Fancy Pants, of course. As hard as I try to put that game down, it always comes back. I always pick it back up. Yeah, aside from that, lots of Midwest Speed Fest stuff coming up. April 22nd through the 25th, I believe, are the dates for Mid-Spring Speed Fling 2021, which will correlate with VGMCon online. There's this big convention that happens every winter in Minneapolis called VGMCon. They get in a bunch of like musical guests, artists to do like talks and performances, and we usually host one of our speedrun marathons at that event. But, global pandemic times, it's going to be online, so we're going to be playing some games online alongside them, and that's going to be a lot of fun. That's sort of the immediate future for me.
Awesome. Well, I think we're all going to be eagerly excited and watching. I know I'm going to be tuning in for some Celeste. Can't get enough of that.
Celeste is great. Such a great game.
Yeah. I was hooked casually, and I played it all in like one sitting, which I never do that. So when that game came out, that was a pretty fun game. I haven't played it since, but I've watched plenty of people play it.
Oh yeah.
Well, was there anything else that you wanted to talk about before we sort of start wrapping things up?
Give me just a second to think about it.
Take your time.
What else is happening? What's up in my life? I'm
gonna get a dog this year?
No, I wish. I wish I had a dog. I really want a husky. Honestly,
that sounds very Minnesotan of you.
Oh, thank you. Oh, for sure.
Okay, I went a little too hard on the Sotan.
Oh, well, okay, hold on.
Oh, sure, bud.
Oh, sure, bud. Hear me out. I grew up in rural Minnesota, so my accent does come out sometimes. I can have a pretty thick Minnesotan accent. I love it. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, huskies are adorable. They're beautiful dogs, and I want one. I want to go skiing with it. I want to go running with it.
I've always wanted a dog so I can name him like Barney. Like I think like not like Barney the dinosaur, like Barney like Barney Fife from the Andy Griffith Show, or like Barney I was gonna say Barney Gumble, that's also not correct. Barney I'm thinking of like why can't I think of anything? I can't think of anyone else named Barney. This is awful. I'm aborting. I'm giving up.
That's a mood. I feel that.
I quit. Oh my goodness.
I feel that.
I really still can't think of anybody named Barney in
anybody
this whole
named
time.
Barney. Is there a Barney in like It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, or am I dumb? I'm probably just stupid.
Hey, listen, I don't think you're stupid.
Aww,
don't say that about yourself. But I also don't know if there's a person named Barney and It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
What am I thinking of then?
Barney Rubble. That's who I was thinking of. From the
Flintstones. Okay.
Oh my god. All right, brain. Good job. Release some endorphins for that one.
It's a mood. I feel that. My 2 brain cells are always chugging along as much as they can.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So, I like that you kind of keep your feet on the ground here and you're like, I don't know, I can't really say what I'm going to do a year from now.
It's hard to say. Things change so quickly.
I mean, I think people set resolutions that they have no chance of doing.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to read 100 books and lose 100 pounds. It's like, are you going to read on the treadmill? No. Then how are you hoping to accomplish this goal? Like, exactly. I am all for being like let's be optimistic, right? Like, if that's how you get down, let's get down that way. Mm-hmm. But I'm just saying, man, it's not like it's not happening. I someone told me one time that their goal was to eat more fruit, and it was like they wanted to eat. It was something to the effect of like their plan was to eat like 1 meal a day that was just fruit, like fresh fruit and vegetables. And I said, you are the first time that you don't want to go to the grocery store is the day that goal runs out, because it's fruit. It's like it preserves well.
True.
Unless you're gonna eat jam.
It's okay. That's such like a vague goal to say something like, I want to eat more fruit. Versus like a more specific goal would be like, I want to replace the snacks that I eat with fruit, which I think is a great goal. I've been trying to do that myself a lot more lately. God, goals and stuff.
How do they work?
How do they work? It's complicated. People try to like analyze goals and like set it like certain ways. I graduated from college with a degree in exercise physiology. And a lot of that was like sports medicine type stuff. So there was a lot of time that we spent on like goals and like programming exercise routines and stuff like that. And really what I learned from all of that is like everybody's different. Nobody's going to have like the same the same process as anyone else. No one is going to respond to like I don't know, exercise and diet the same way. So there's like no way that you can like pin down like, oh, this is what your goals should be.
Mm-hmm.
Just got to feel it out for yourself, you know?
Absolutely. I think that I think it's so remarkable how athletes heal so much faster. I mean, one, they have access to a whole different level of healthcare and nutrition than like
Oh God, yeah.
anyone else, right?
Yeah.
But also, like you said, it's so individual to the person, like I knew someone that they tore their ACL in their right leg, and like like the advice was well, now you just have a shitty leg, like this is what you have.
Yep.
And then you see someone like like a star like running back in like the NFL, like Adrian Peterson comes to mind, speaking of like
Yep.
Minnesota.
Yep.
And like 9 months or something, like 11 months he was like out, and then he came back and he rushed for 1,000 yards.
Yeah, exactly. It's wild. Professional athletes are like a whole nother class of human beings. So, like, I can't talk up on professional athletes because I'm not one by any stretch of the word professional athlete. But I did like cross country and track in college, D3 college, so nothing like major. But I got like one little stress fracture in my foot, and that put me out for like 2 years. I just like kept injuring myself and stuff because of that one little injury.
Yeah.
Like I didn't actually fracture my foot. I went in and got an X-ray of it. It's just that like one of the bones started splintering a little bit, and that put me out for like 2 years. My body is just like,
oh my goodness.
And then yeah, because I see like professional athletes and stuff tear their ACL, tear their LCL, or like get a major rotator cuff injury, and they're back after like a few months. I'm like, are you kidding me? Body, what are you doing?
My I believe I'd gone to school with this girl, and since I was in elementary school, and she was like touted as like, oh, she could go to D1 and do like track and be like just like she's like was this like great, maybe cross country was her thing. She was a great runner, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, oh, she could do this on like D1 college. It was like crazy. And that was her going into her freshman year. So if there's hype around someone going to their freshman year, ESPN is like knocking on the door. But she tore her meniscus in her left leg in her freshman year.
Yeah.
Then she tore her in sophomore year. She tore her meniscus on her right leg.
Oh no.
And then in junior year, she tore her left one again. And then in her senior year, the right one again.
Oh no.
She spent 4 years of high school on crutches. Like I don't remember seeing her not on crutches. I felt so bad for her because she was she looked fragile.
Yeah.
Like she was very like thin, and like I always think when you can see the elbow, like when you can actually see how wide someone's elbow is, they're too skinny. Like that's like that's how I identify people with eating disorders. That's a horrible thing to say, but
well, yeah.
Like it's like if I can like see that your forearm and your tricep are thinner, measurably thinner than your elbow, and I can see the bone and all of its contours, then I think we have a problem. It was kind of like that for her, but that was just her natural frame. So like if she had a pebble of if she hit the gravel on like the road, I was like, you're just gonna break your whole body.
Yeah, and I feel really bad for kids when they're that young that people start like putting them on a pedestal like that. Because I've seen it happen with athletes before that I knew. And it's sort of, I mean, part of that could very well be genetics. Like the meniscus tears and just like not having good knees. God knows I don't. But I feel really bad for kids that are that young that get thrown into that, because I feel like they don't really have a choice of like whether or not to pursue this activity. They sort of get forced into it and forced into like pushing their bodies like really, really hard at such a young age, which is super dangerous.
Yeah. You definitely, when you're really good at something, there is no consideration that you might not or that you should not do it.
Yeah, exactly.
There's almost like, it's almost like the people that really succeed are not the freaks of nature, like the genetic freaks who like, I always go back to boxing because I did a smidgen of boxing, but I go back and think like all the people that were like, oh yeah, these guys are the ones that are gonna be like in there, and they're like, they have the knockout power and whatever. I'm like, those are the guys that haven't been hit yet. Like, you really want someone that's lost a few times, because they can actually stay up for however many rounds.
Exactly.
Like Mike Tyson, the people like think about Mike Tyson. I'm like, I can never explain to anybody how much of a freak of nature Mike Tyson is, right? Like,
how much
Mike
of a glass
Tyson,
cannon?
Yeah. Well, now he is for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Buster Douglas's whole plan was just to get to the end.
Yeah, exactly.
But like in the early '90s, what was it? I always remember that scene from Coming to America where they're talking about the boxers. It's like, who's that new guy? And then like Mike Tyson, he's like, look like a bulldog. Yeah,
Oh,
so, well. Anyway, hey, listen.
athletics are cool.
Yeah,
that sort of
athletics
stuff is right up my alley.
I'm glad we got to keep talking, and
Of
we
course.
didn't miss this part of the conversation.
Of course.
But let's wrap up.
Sounds good.
All right. Well, I want to thank you so much for being on the show. This was a real pleasure.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time. And I want to plug you. I have everything pulled up ahead of time because I'm a professional. You can follow my guest today. She is on Twitter. That is @I_of_Newt.
That's the one.
And on Twitch, that is twitch.tv/I_of_Newt. If you're wondering how to spell Newt, it is NEWT. On YouTube, you can search for, you guessed it, I_of_Newt.
There it is.
All right. And on speedrun.com, spoiler alert, speedrun.com/user/I_of_Newt.
Hit me.
Thank you so much for your time tonight. I hope
you.
that you get some sleep. I hope you don't stay
really
up till 4 a.m. yet again.
Oh God, no.
Hey, listen. It'd be poor. It would not be wise.
No, it wouldn't. I'm planning to get like 12 hours of sleep tonight. I'm gonna be out forever.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Newt. Thank you, everyone, for listening and sharing and liking. Remember to share this episode with your friends. Tell people about us. Help us keep making new, cool episodes. All right. We will see you next time. I have a great guest lined up for next week. You're not going to want to miss it. And so look forward to that. Have a great rest of your day. Bye-bye.